Help Me Mama.
Hey everybody, this is Emily for Help Me Mama, and today I wanted to talk about weaning. Fun topic! Woo! Weaning! My mom, I always think about her when I'm weaning because she gave me this illustration of she watched her dog as a child have puppies, and after about 6 weeks, her mom dog had just laid on the floor basically for 6 weeks and just let the puppies nurse and only got up to go to the bathroom. She didn't do anything. She just focused on the babies. And after 6 weeks, that mom dog got up and was like, "You children need to get food on your own." She kind of shook them off and was like, "Come on." And that is sort of the attitude, I feel like, of weaning. Melly, do you want to come over here with me? So that's what we're talking about, stopping nursing. I think it's kinder and gentler to do it gradually, and so we're going to talk about all of this. There are a couple of factors with weaning. One is the age of your baby. If you have to wean for certain circumstances at under 3-6 months, I don't know how to do that. So you're gonna have to look somewhere else. I just have never done that, and I don't know what the deal is. I think with the older ages, if you weaned to 1.5, 2, and beyond, I think it's about the same as what I'm going to talk about. So some of these things will be applicable, but I have never done that. I have weaned my children always at about a year. Because I'm always pregnant. Because I'm always pregnant again. And so that's why, and that is why I'm weaning again. We're pregnant again. So I want always the new baby to feel full and satisfied and happy and used to a bottle or a sippy cup by the time the new baby is born. So as soon as I get pregnant again, I start the weaning process. So the age, my babies are always 11 months to a year, a little older than a year. Okay, so this is from a year up, okay? Other ages, I say, the research, I think, consistently says that breastfeeding up to a year, you max out your benefits at about a year. And so you want to do the best you can to breastfeed, or at least partial breastfeed plus formula, up until a year. The other factor that you have with weaning is your attitude. And some moms have, which is totally, I admire them for this, is I want to breastfeed as long as my child wants me to breastfeed them. Okay, and I get that, and I think that is wonderful, but you're going to have a harder time weaning. Even if you feel the desire to wean, you're going to have a harder time cutting it off if you have that sort of attitude. I think most moms get to a point, they look at their baby and you're big. Like the dog, y'all are big enough to find your own food, okay? So I think most moms get to that point. I feel like that point is about a year because they can start drinking from a cup and they can eat solid food and they're confident in it. It's not like they're brand new at 6 months, You come up here with me. Look at that. You're beautiful. So the attitude. Now, if you're if you're nervous about it, that's another attitude that might be a factor. If you're really nervous about weaning, or if there's sort of a tense relationship that you have with your child about breastfeeding, you kind of nervous breastfeed, every time they're hurt or sad or something, you're just breastfeed. That can be a problematic attitude as well. And I would just sort of reflect on what a healthy attitude would be about. Not to say not to say that that's an unhealthy attitude. I think that nursing can be very comforting for your child. But just sort of, I think it's good to think, what is my attitude about breastfeeding right now? Am I ready to wean? Are we at a point where that's going to be a comfortable transition for me and for my child? If you're nursing 8 times a day, if you're still in newborn phase, weaning is going to take a long time. It's probably going to be really hard and even painful if you do it too fast. So now I'm going to tell you my method. Those are things to take into consideration. Here's what I do. this is me. You got to figure out what's going to work for you guys. So my method is gradual. When mine are about 11 months to a year, I start the process, and it takes me about a month to 2 months. A month if I'm really diligent and if baby is just really cooperative. 2 months usually takes 2 months because breastfeeding is so easy. You guys, breastfeeding is so great and easy, and like you always have your supplies. You don't have to bring stuff with you. It's there, right? So I always have to like, oh yeah, I have to get into the habit of like bringing milk, bringing a bottle, okay? And some of you are like, oh my gosh, this woman is so spoiled by breastfeeding, and I am. It's a very easy thing. Okay, come here, baby. So you have to get into the habit of preparing whenever you go somewhere where you would usually just bring yourself. And what I would do is weekly, or if you're going to do 2 months, like 2 weeks, start to remove your shortest feeding first. So at a year, mine usually, so I'll go over the cycle of what usually happens. When they're first born, they eat around the clock, 10 times a day, every 2 hours, right? They say in the beginning. So every 2 to 4 hours means like 8 to 12 times a day they're nursing. Well, that decreases over time. So when you get to the 3-month mark, that might be 6 to 8 times a day. When you get to 6 months, it might be 4 to 6. And then 6 months on to a year, probably longer than that, give or take. But when I'm at a year, it's usually 4 pretty solid feedings during the day. 1 big one in the morning, 1 big one at night, and then before a morning and evening nap or morning and afternoon nap. Really? So the morning nap is usually the smallest feeding. That's what I would replace with a bottle or sippy cup first. And once they're solid on that, like a week to 2 weeks, you have to be consistent, replacing every day that feeding with a bottle. And then it's not going to be so painful for you because you might be really full in the afternoon for the first couple of days, but your body's going to adjust. It's not like a full cutoff. So then the next 2 weeks, you go to your afternoon feeding, or whichever one is the next smallest. And then once you cut that out, now you only have 2. Those are the hardest, but you do the same thing. And it might take you a little bit, longer or shorter depending. I always think that the hardest one for me to get rid of is the first thing in the morning, because you don't want to get up and get the baby a bottle. You just want to bring him into bed and snuggle at that time. That's at least me. So that one's the hardest to get rid of. But one day you'll wake up and think, I could get him a bottle today. And then it'll be over. And then you'll be so sad that it's over. But for me, like, new baby's always coming, so it's like a happy, sad moment, So that is how I would do it. Excuse me. So for me, it's gradual. Don't make it painful on yourself. If you like all of a sudden cold turkey cut off and you're like, no more, then you're going to be really tight. You're going to be full and tight for like at least a couple of days, and it's going to hurt. So I want to spare you the pain and also spare you like the crankiness. They're not going to be as cranky when it's a gradual process. If you do cold turkey, they're going to be like, and you might not have the willpower after a couple of days to keep going. So that's my 2 cents. Of course, it can be done different ways, but this I have found is like the easiest way. Hope that was helpful. This is Emily for Help Me Mama, and Melia. I love having her in our videos. I hope her like being cranky and tired isn't like totally distracting to you guys. This is like almost bedtime. It's like I'm getting tired, but I'm still awake enough to play time for her. So anyways, please subscribe and comment and pass along to a friend and check us out on Facebook and all that good stuff. You say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.
Help me, Mama.